So to give you an overview of what we're trying to do with the Elder Scrolls Online, I mean, obviously we want to make a great social game. So, you know, the core foundation of it is that players can play the way they want. So that's expressed in a number of ways, right? So we have a faction you can join right from the beginning, which kind of dictates, you know, which parts of Tamriel you'll see. So we have the Ebonheart Pact, we have the Aldmeri Dominion, and we have the Daggerfall Covenant. And once the player chooses the faction, then they kind of get to explore the way they want to explore, play the game that they want to play. And so, you know, they can just take off and run north, for instance. And, you know, they might be on a quest, they might not be, but we have POIs that get pointed out, and the player's like, oh, okay, you know, for me, when I play any Elder Scrolls game, it's kind of the distraction content that I like. And so, you know, I see something that's like, oh, I want to go over there and I want to explore this. You know, that's totally available to us. So you might find a dungeon. We have lots of dungeons in the game, lots of ruins, just lots of content all over the place. We absolutely don't want players to have to go back and forth towards quest hubs. We want to make sure that our players are free to explore, free to play, you know, again, kind of the way they want to play. The importance of Cyrodiil in our game is that Cyrodiil really is where a lot of our PvP takes place. It's where the Alliance War takes place. So all of the different factions, so the ones I've mentioned earlier, are kind of vying for control of the Empire, and their goal is to have one of their players crowned as Emperor. And so the big thing about that is that Cyrodiil is so big that you know, there's lots of I would say points of interest or sieges to take. You know, there's keeps you want to take. And those actually impact the whole game. So it's not just something that only impacts the PvP section, it impacts all the game. So it really encourages players to participate in PvP without it forcing players to participate in PvP. The first Emperor, you know, Tiber Septim, really hasn't been crowned yet. And so this is a time when everybody, the prophecy's already out that there's going to be an Emperor, and so everybody wants there to be an Emperor. And so it just kind of fit really neatly with what we were trying to do, which is say, hey, the players can sort of become the Emperor at this point, but they're not Tiber Septim yet, but that's the goal that they're trying to attain. We have a quest line that's what we call our main quest line, where the player is trying to get their soul back, and kind of in doing so, they reveal a greater threat, which is, you know, Molag Bal is trying to pull Tamriel into the plane of Cold Harbor, and so the players, you know, they'll get their soul back, but they're also going to help and save the world. And I mean, that was big, and it was important to us, was making the player the hero. But there'll also be lots of other quest lines. There'll be, you know, if you played any of the Elder Scrolls, you've seen things like the Companions quest line, or the Fighters Guild quest line, or Mages Guild quest line, and we want to make sure that's true too. So to talk a little bit about our combat system, one of the things that we worked so hard to do was get that feeling of, it's really visceral. It's really something that, you know, you're invested in. So we have minimal UI elements up because we want you looking in the world. So there'll be a lot of tells that you have from, say, the different NPCs. So an NPC might duck down, or they might do something else, and you know that they're preparing for a big move, so it's time to block. You know, it just adds to that really natural kind of visceral feel. You also have things that you have in other Elder Scrolls games, like you have crouching, you have sprint, and you know, maybe you want to avoid combat by crouching. Maybe there's a way you want to do a particular quest line where you want to sneak instead of, you know, for instance, just running in with you know, your sword and hacking everything apart, or, you know, running in with magic and blowing everything up. We definitely want the players to feel like when they're in combat, everything that they do is action oriented. So as a really good example, I use my stamina to block, and the simple interactions and the simpler shortcut bar with less abilities. The interesting thing is, even internally we debated, you know, would this have the depth that we really wanted to? But when you pair it with our AI, when you pair it with monsters that are clever, that work against you, that set each other up, right? So an AI can decide, I'm going to throw down oil, and then another one of their partners, the enemy partner, says, okay, well, I'm going to light it on fire now. And if a player is standing or gets caught in this oil, then it gets lit up. So as a player, you kind of have to be very aware of what's going on around you. And as we got more into like the simpler mechanics, it actually got deeper and deeper because the AI was so smart. And then as players, you know, it's not just the AI that cooperates, right? Players can cooperate. So we have what we call synergy abilities, where a player will say, you know, they'll throw down something like a firestorm that'll come out, and then a fighter might run into the firestorm, and then they will, you know, basically shoot fireballs out, you know, and what happens is, as players, this cooperation, and you're seeing like, oh my gosh, he's making me cooler than I was originally, right? It's like, wow, now there's a reason to really group up. I want to see all these different, you know, synergy abilities. I want to see how it works. And so getting people playing together, getting them playing cooperatively, getting it to be like the most social experience that you know, you've played yet in an online RPG is really important to us. The Elder Scrolls Online will be out and available for PC and Macs, machines that can be 5 years old. We run on lower spec machines. We do that on purpose. Social games need lots of people playing them. And so yeah, it'll be out in 2013.